initially, when I think about the concept of liberty versus freedom, my mind automatically went to the Back to Africa movement in the 1800s, where enslaved Africans were literally shipped back to Africa, um, to a freedmen's colony known as Liberia. Uh, then I also think about the Jim Crow era, where um, slavery was not going on. However, there was a lack of choices, lack of freedom. When I think about ancient civilizations, I think about the different civilizations that had slaves, right? That lack of liberty. Now, when I think about the lack of freedom, say for an example, maybe in Kemet, a regular everyday citizen was not going to be able to have the choice to read a religious text, right? That was left up to, and only the priests and priestesses had access to that. Um, Lack of choices, lack of freedom, and then liberty, like literally being under the bondage of somebody else. That's how I look at the comparison of liberty versus freedom. Now, when we talk about Aristotle and his perception of liberties and freedoms, I know he states something along the lines of slaves are going to naturally present themselves as slaves because they don't have the mental capacity to govern themselves, quote unquote. And so uh, slaves are going to naturally take on their position. Now, a freedman or everyday citizen, they're going to have the intellectual capacity to govern themselves, to have that autonomy. So therefore, this liberty thing still going back to governing, and then the freedoms, uh, being able to have the capacity to make choices for yourself. Now, specifically, when we go back to Cicero, he's going to say that liberty cannot exist unless the people have the power, and also that liberty cannot exist unless everyone has equal rights. And this goes back to the governing piece in relationship to the Western concept of liberty. When you have that freedom, you have the freedom to choose to vote, to explore any of your interests. I feel like freedom is more individualized, and liberties fall under uh, an umbrella that is going to be a blanket of governance, right? So that is my perception of liberty versus freedom. Now, I also want to state that within the different early Western civilizations that we're going to cover, I do believe that liberty and freedom go hand in hand. I believe that every single civilization is going to go through a period where the liberty is challenged and the freedom is challenged. They're always going to go hand in hand. And I believe that if you conquer uh, the liberties of the people, then you conquer their freedoms.